she's going to join me in
Okay.
the presentation as well. This is the first time I'm doing a PowerPoint presentation with a paper slide.
That's a little easier for us.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing it.
All right, so should I just tell you like which slide you should go to? Because I've never done
That'd be great.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so my name is Hector, the community organizer with Opal Environmental Justice Oregon. Thank you for providing us with extensive time to provide this presentation today. And so the purpose of this presentation is to talk about the East Portland Bus Stop Project, the Opal and Bus Riders United.
Yeah, I want my
Conducting. So if you could please turn to slide number 2, introducing the project. So the East Portland Bus Stop Project was a project idea originated from our Bus Riders Unite members. The East Portland Bus Stop Project began with a focus on evaluating bus stops east of 82nd and the corridors of Southeast 82nd, Southeast 122nd, Southeast Stark, Outer Powell Street, and Outer Southeast Foster, Outer Southeast Division, and Outer Northeast Halsey. So for the past year and a half, we have been working to complete this community-led project, and during that time, bus riders and Portland State University students helped Opal to develop 2 tools, which both of these tools are also bilingual. Are you a bus rider? Tell us about your bus stop survey and the East Portland Bus Stop Assessment. So we utilize these tools to engage in conversations, educate people about the infrastructure disparities, how we're going to evaluate stops, with the end goal of having the community decide on prioritizing bus stops to improve East Portland. So if you can go to slide number 3 now.
I don't get to see it.
So with the help from East Portland community members, we completed our initial screening of over 150 bus stops in East Portland and collected over 220 bus stop surveys in 2012. Our second step was to hone in on the hot bus stops based off the screening. Then we chose to hone in on the hot bus stops with the higher average daily boarding figures from spring and fall 2012 Transit passenger census data that were in close proximity to community assets such as housing, grocery stores, community centers, medical facilities, libraries, and schools, but with fewer existing amenities and infrastructure. And further, narrowed down our list of bus stops clusters to the ones that the community felt more interest. So the result being Northeast Halsey, Southeast Stark, Southeast Powell, and Southeast Foster. And throughout this project, we had an active process of engagement, identification, ground truthing, data collection, and prioritization. So the number one goal of this entire project, or more in particular for the assessment phase, was to have people that were either one, East Portland residents or riders to meaningfully participate in the assessment and prioritizing of bus stops. Because as you know, meaningful involvement is when people are involved in the decision-making process. So now the next couple of slides, slide number 4 through 7, are basically the individual cluster areas. Slide number 4 is of policy, and it includes the name of the participants and also some photos of the specific bus stops that individuals were assessing. Slide number 5 is of Stark. Slide number 6 is of Powell. Slide number 7 is of Foster. And so if you turn to slide number 8, the community prioritization slide. So on Tuesday, May 14th, 2013, at the Rosewood Initiative Building, which is located over in 162nd and Southeast Stark, we had our community prioritization meeting in which 50 people participated, and by voting process, the community prioritized the following 3 bus stops. And now Aiden will talk about that conversation.
Of the community prioritization meeting.
Slides 9 through 12.
Right. So basically what we did was got together with 50 people and they went through a few rounds of voting where the teams who had been evaluating the stops presented, they're basically advocating for each of those stops, and they're kind of competing against each other. So the voting members who came out had the opportunity to gradually vote it down until it came to, basically we ended up with two that were the absolute worst. Those were Southeast Powell on 122nd and Southeast Foster and 82nd. And then it came to a tie between Southeast Powell and 127th and the fourth, which was the loser. And, you know, it was interesting because there was a lot of agreement, I think, on the worst stops, but there was also, you know, a certain amount of commentary going on behind the scenes on how many people's own stops were kind of lacking in East Portland. The result being that we've got two different situations here. There's the fact that there are a lot of bus stops in East Portland that lack amenities that are essential to their safety. And there's the fact that improving these three prioritized bus stops will improve the lives of the East Portlanders who participated in this, and I suspect a lot of others. If you could turn to slide 9 or 10, whichever it is. Right. We have boarding data that suggests that these stops are actually, worthy of some improvements. The problem, right, is that there are various situational factors that make it difficult to improve. So what we're asking for is, prioritize these bus stops in whatever way that you can, right? If you turn to the slide that says, how can you help bus riders? What we need is, shelters at these stops. We need benches to, make people comfortable and also to let them see if they have health trouble. We need adequate lighting for security and for visibility. And we need sidewalks for protection from motor vehicles and to enhance safe access to and from bus stops. These were the elements that became very apparent for these stops that they needed. These were the things that people checked off on these lists. The three things that we ask then is help bus riders and improve these specific bus stops so that we have a safe and easily accessible place to wait for a bus. 2, be an advocate for riders when you work with other transportation agencies who make decisions that affect our stops. And 3, we would ask you to actually, come out with us. We can schedule something if you would like, field trip, to experience riding the bus in East Portland. What does a typical day look like for someone who lives in East Portland and uses the bus to do all their daily errands? I think the final sort of takeaway message here is that riders, they expressed what their top priorities were, and we think it's important to work on those 3 priorities, but they also identified more widespread problems, and this is something that clearly needs more work, if this is the problem that they're identifying. So, in short, last slide. From the bus riders who actually came out to that meeting and from everyone else who participated and who lives in East Portland, thank you for your time and your collaboration and your openness to working on these issues.
Well, thank you for your research and community work on this. Questions? I have a couple questions. We'll see what others have here first.
Quick comment. As usual, I certainly want to thank you guys, Opal and Bus Riders Unite, for this, this excellent report and the professionalism that goes into almost everything we do. So this is very, very helpful. I appreciate the dedication of the folks that are on this slide, going out and ensuring that they're looking at all of these things. And as you see, the list of where you started and the list of recommendations, it's certainly something I think as as a board member, I'd like to see us take into consideration, taking a look at those. And I will certainly take you up on coming on writing with you. Won't be in the next couple of weeks because I've got a couple of projects I'm finishing up, but I certainly want to do that. Of course, the sun comes out after the 4th. So.
Yeah. Vince, do you want the like full experience?
Yeah, the full experience. So I will take you up on that.
I just want to echo the same. As a matter of fact, here's my business card. And my office is in East County, which I'm never there really. I work out of my car.
Yeah.
I work out of my car, but should be some information. We'll do the email tag, or is that what you call it? Hashtag? All right, thank you.
Evan mentioned, in addition to the shelters and that stuff, also sidewalks. Neil, can you explain which agency is responsible for what around the bus stops? Because I do know that that's part of the issue.
And I would just, first of all, note that the prioritization of stops for shelters is generally up to us, and so I really do appreciate this information, and we will take a very hard look at it. My hope is that we can implement these improvements in quick time. But to the question, obviously the sidewalks are by the road agencies. Board Member Stovall and I were at an East County forum with a number of legislators and other officials about a month ago, maybe it was 6 weeks ago, and it was clear that, for example, Powell Boulevard is one of the real hot points related to safe transportation for pedestrians in East County. So there was clearly a lot of focus on that. But I'd also note that related to the effort of planning, we have actually been doing some really good work of late, and over this last few months, we actually secured a grant from Metro, working with the city, $8.2 million that will go to active transportation improvements, focused on sidewalk and bus stop improvements, as well as cycling improvements in East Portland. And that money becomes available, I believe, in fiscal year 16, so it's a ways off, but that means that we should begin planning for it now. And these kinds of efforts, which include the riders and the